Hello everyone, this is Bryant Reel, and I'm doing another video about the new Embers of the Imperium role-playing game that was just released by Edge Studio. And I had just done a video just kind of quickly going through the new book to see what it looks like and what's in there. And somebody had asked the question on the previous video, my feelings on the different ships that you can use if you were playing this game. So I have a couple thoughts on that, both thematic and mechanical. So in the Twilight Imperium board game, you basically have fighters, but fighters are attached to larger capital ships. And so you have your destroyers through your flagships and war suns. And the source book for Embers of the Imperium goes through a lot of these larger capital ship, but it also adds a lot of smaller classes. And it goes through some of the variants for the different races and factions. So I just kind of want to take a look at those and go over my thoughts on some of that. But to do that, I'm going to have to share screen so you can see the book here. So this is the long-range scout ship, and the reason I'm starting on this one is that this is specifically identified as a ship that the Keleres teams are often issued. And so it has some important features that I think worth considering when you're deciding what kind of ship you would want in your game. So first of all, let's take a look at the size. So this is a silhouette of 5, if you can see this here. And so that's actually a reasonably large ship in terms of physical size. It's larger, the YT 1300 light freighter, which I believe is what the Millennium Falcon is. If you go to the Star Wars Edge of the Empire source book, that's a silhouette 4. And so the long-range scout ship here is a size higher, basically. But it also has a very low complement, a requirement for running the ship. And so it kind of goes through here. So you need a pilot. You have a complement of 3. So you have a pilot, a co-pilot, and an engineer and sensor operator. So that's three, basically to run the ship. But it also has 2 turrets, a dorsal and a ventral turret. And so you have essentially 5. If you have a party of 5 players, it's pretty much a perfect complement. And of course, if you have fewer, even more, it can hold up to 7 passengers as well. So it's a good size for a party without having to deal with a whole bunch of NPCs working on your ship. And it gives you a good size of ship for, so good bang for your buck there. Some other important things here, and I think that'll be hard to see on the screen, but it has an FTL range and speed. And so I'm going to go up a few pages here where it talks about FTL, which is faster than light travel. So this is something you always want to consider too if you're going to be an adventuring team on your ship. So the ranges, the FTL ranges of a ship, this is how far a ship can go before it has to refuel, basically. So short range is going to, a few light years on a single tank, basically. Medium would be a few hundred light years. Long range would be thousands of light years. And extreme range would basically tens of thousands of light years. Basically, you can cross the galaxy on a single fill-up. And then there's also speed you have to take into account. So there's, I'm not going to go through the details, but slow through very fast. So a very fast ship could cross the galaxy in about a month. So a fast ship could do across the galaxy in about 2 months, and an average ship would take 6 months to cross the galaxy. So if we take a look at our long-range scout ship, it's listed with an FTL range and speed, so extreme and then average. So the extreme range means that if you're an adventuring team of Keleres, you have to be out kind of hidden on the edges, fringes of the galaxy. You don't want to show yourself too much if you're doing some sort of covert operation. You have an extremely long range you can go without having to refuel or dock anywhere. The speed is only average. You are looking for long travel times if you need to cross the galaxy. But this is a very large ship with a lot of cargo space. And so it's specifically defined as something you could pack more, like if you had to up your engines, increase your engines or weapons or whatever, you can do that with this ship. But let's say, so now let's take a look at some of the capital ships you'd have in the board game. So if I go to the destroyer, this is the smallest of the capital ships. It's also a silhouette 5. So it's physically the same size as the long-range scout. But the important thing here is the difference in the complement. And it doesn't specify roles, But this is the smallest capital ship that you're going to see from the board game, and it's looking at 20 officers and crew to run. While it is a fast ship, so it is faster than the vanilla Scout, it's only medium range. So you're not going to be going as far. You'll be going faster, but you won't be going on trips as far into the corners of the galaxy without having to stop and refuel. But I think the main thing here is the complement. If you're taking the smallest ship, you're no longer just a party of adventurers. You're kind of leaders of a vessel that you're not entirely in control of. So it's kind of like if you're playing like a fantasy role-playing game, like let's say Dungeons and Dragons or something, you're generally playing in a smaller party as opposed to managing a massive team. It's just easier paperwork and your characters get to do more. So I think that's a practical advantage to going with one of the smaller ships. And of course, if we move up to the Dreadnought here, this is 200 officers and crew. You're basically probably not really doing anything besides management, right? If you're like, if you're running a Dreadnought, maybe you're on the Dreadnought and you're just taking orders, and of course there might be different missions where you're, in our game, we've had missions where people were on a Dreadnought. But if you're running a Dreadnought as the ship for your team, you're just looking at a lot of management, probably unnecessary politics and all that sort of thing. Now, if that's what you like, fantastic. The options here, but I think this is not where I would lean, unless the players really wanted to do that. Sometimes they do. But I think the long-range Scout ship's a good choice. I would speed it up, though. First thing is if I could afford better engines. There are a couple other nice choices. So you do have the Corvette here. It's a similar sized ship. It's faster than the long-range Scout, but it can't go as far. But it might be nice if you're kind of got a central headquarters and you're just kind of shooting out real quickly around your local area in the galaxy. Quickly, that might be a nice Scout ship or spy ship or something to gather information. There was another one I saw that I really liked. It's the Courier, actually. So this is a long. Oh no, that's the Carrier. Hold on. There's a Courier ship that's smaller but really fast and had good range. The concept in the Twilight Imperium universe is that you have faster than light travel but not faster than light information. So your broadcasts and signals only go the speed of light, and so that there's couriers that carry messages around the galaxy, so you can send messages faster than light speed. In our campaign we had something else. Okay, courier ship, here it is. So this one, it's a smaller crew, like if you had a small party. It's only silhouette 4, so again, you're looking more Millennium Falcon size. It's got a pilot, a navigator, an engineer, and then a passenger capacity of 2. So you could have a couple other in your party there. But it has the FTL range is long and it's very fast speed. So it's the fastest type of ship you can get. Just very small. Not much armor on it, not good for combat. Probably really, really good for reconnaissance or something like that. Or obviously delivering message, since that's what it's made for. So, and then I think thematically, one thing to remember with this game too is that the Keleres aren't intended to be a military powerhouse. I mean, in the board game, they do have the same access to vessels that everyone else does. But really, they're more like the CIA or MI6. So they're covert operatives more than they are heavy military. They probably have a military arm. But if a big army or fleet of vessels was coming to attack Mechatol Rex, the Keleres aren't going to be the ones going out to defend it. They're going to be the ones that find out about it and then alert the Galactic Council and probably help formulate defenses against it. But that's my thoughts on that. If you want to see some space combat in action, this book doesn't go through the details of space combat because that's in the Genesis core rulebook. But in our game, our campaign we were running, which not many people watched, but I thought was fantastic. I will post in the description a couple links just so you can see a couple of the combats we did if you want to kind of see how space combat works. But you will need the access to the core rulebook just to see how that works in the game. So it's kind of my thoughts on this. Be interested to hear yours if you want to leave any notes in the comment section. So have a wonderful day.